The world changes every day and people move to big cities to find new job, to live in better conditions. It's fine. It's supposed to be like this. And lately Baku has become one of these rapidly growing cities. New buildings, new materials, new infrastructure, everything changes. And these changes come with some challenges that I would like to talk about and how to overcome some of them. Baku is an old town. It's located on the Caspian Sea shore between Europe and Asia, which makes it more culturally diverse. It was the pivotal point for the Islamic Renaissance. Islamic Renaissance started in the 9th century. It was the phenomenon for the local science. Islamic architecture continued until the first oil boom. As soon as the first oil boom started, some oil millionaires uh, traveled a lot in Europe and starting doing here buildings similar to European ones. Actually, I don't think it was copy paste. They just tried to get European comfort in Baku. It is exactly what Dubai does lately. Millionaires building city from zero. As soon as Soviet Union started, it's not a secret that economical utilitarian approach was very important, and that's why constructivist architecture was the best way to solve this problem, to do standardized projects which are easy to build. Some government and public buildings, they did some exceptions. They used historical traditional elements for the facades. But for the usual buildings, they applied similar projects, let's say living spaces, which called mikrorayons, schools, hospitals, same projects in every city of Soviet Union. After collapse of the Soviet Union, people have finally got the freedom after 17 years. They started to demonstrate this by adding additional areas to their own apartments. They did it without any limits. They did it in their own way. I think it's more than just a self-expression. We can call this even contemporary art, installation maybe. Apartments finally have got the freedom from Soviet standards. I think this rapid change proves that Soviet standards were not perfect. At least they did not serve the purpose. Either part of population moved to the newly built buildings in the center, built after much of the Soviet Union, sadly without urbanistic norms and rules. Kind of construction still goes on, and it influenced bad to modern architecture of Baku. Lately, Baku has got some international projects. Most of them were done by well-known worldwide architects. Individually, they are all good. When standing next to them, they are awesome. But from the distance, sadly, they don't actually fit with the surrounding buildings. And what is the reason why this happens? Because all the new styles starts from zero. Islamic architecture started, no reference with the previous one, then stopped. European architecture started during first oil boom. We have got European buildings here. They also not related with the Islamic architecture. Then stopped, continued with Soviet architecture. And Soviet architecture was the constructivist architecture. So it stopped, then started mixed architecture, no sense architecture. And lately we have got modern buildings, modern architecture in Baku, also not related with the previous ones. That's the problem. No connection with surrounding buildings, with the buildings that mostly use local materials, such as limestone. This is limestone, main historical and main construction material, local material. We built everything with this material. It's very good for facades, for the buildings maximum 4-5 story buildings. It's good. And lately we do classic buildings by applying to this material. Sadly, for some local projects, even trying to do skyscrapes with this heavy stone, which is not easy to install, and lighting is huge waste of energy and resources. Lately, we use alloy material, which is a type of limestone for local projects. But when they stand next to glass buildings, modern buildings, they look very mixed. They ignore each other because of the lighting system, and also stone looks heavy, glass looks light. That's one of the main reasons why Baku still looks very mixed. After research of kind of material and buildings, we suggest to use these two material in the same building to make 4-5 story building with stone material which grows to the glass facade building, and use cross areas, parks, terrace, maybe streets for the future. In this way, to make two-level city, classic city from street level and modern from the distance. Lightening just a stone part in night time, we can create a feel of classic city. Experimentally, we use this method by doing new project for Ministry of Education in Baku, and the result was very positive. This project is located on the crossroad of two main streets. This is an empty area which surrounded with 5-6 story traditional buildings. That is the main reason why we started with research of historical elements, traditional and local materials, to make a bridge between our sustainable project with the surrounding buildings. Sustainable, it's very important for each project, but for this project we can see that by comparing with previous typical projects which comes from Soviet standards. Corridor is always in the middle. In this case, no air circulation, no daylight for this area. We took the secondary tile area, made it a bit round, put on either side of the inner yard because of sun effect. In this case, all the cabinets get a direct light and corridors the second light. So, which means sun can hit corridors in sunny days, but they never be dark without air in any day. Our goal for kind of project was also applying historical elements, trying to use them as a sustainable elements for today. And we used columns and put the area between columns and facades. We did it for 3 facades where sun hit directly. In this case, this stone can be a protection from the sun. We applied 2 historical looking portals used as main entrances of the ministry building. We used just the shape of that historical element, but simplified. We also used 2 historical looking arcs as the entrances of the inner yard. The teachers, guests can go through these arcs, go to the public access building. This inner yard connects public access building with the main ministry building. But structurally, these 2 buildings connected with 2 level underground and 2 bridge corridors on the 3rd floor. Ministry staff can easily go through these bridge corridors, get to meeting rooms, conference, canteen, which are located in public access building. There is terrain in that area, what made us to rethink many times until we have got the best positioning. And getting maximum distance from the main streets let us to solve terrain by a beautiful landscape. Positioning like this let us to put guest parking lots and gate of underground parking on the secondary tier streets, where easy to park and go out from the parking. It's very important to lighten kind of buildings in Baku in the center. We decided to lighten just the stone part. In this case, people crossing nearby this building can see just traditional elements in night time. It was great pleasure to do this project, which can be a good start and reference for the next buildings of Azerbaijan region.